money into
Yeah,
it.
I think a classic mistake people make is that they think a viewer or a potential buyer can visualize without help.
Yeah.
And that is really flawed. Only about 20% of buyers can visualize how to use a space. So particularly if you have a home, say with rooms that have a tricky layout, you need to show them how that room functions, demonstrate the functionality optimally, show them that this room actually can take a double bed, this room can take a big dining table, all those things. So you can't presume that a buyer can see through, your clutter or your, or people want to put their own stamp on a property. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Your home could be at the top of their budget. So they need that to be as turnkey as possible.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Platinum Properties Podcast. In today's episode, Paul chats with Sarah Evers, a business owner, interior stylist, and an award-winning home staging consultant. They chatted all about herself and her business, about how she got into interior design, the logistics of what she does behind the scenes, and the process of staging a property from start to finish. They even show a few of her beautiful completed projects, which you can view if you tune in on YouTube. We hope you enjoy this session.
All right, folks, welcome back to Platinum's podcast. This week, a lot of people have asked us about loads of different ways of increasing the value of a property before you sell it. And there's a lot of people selling property at the moment. So we reached out to Sarah Evers from Evers Interiors to come in. Obviously, she does fantastic work or we wouldn't let you in the door. And we're going to dive into the next part of before you sell this property, that you don't leave any change on the table, because you'll probably only sell maybe one or two properties in your lifetime. So sit back, relax, take as many notes as you can, and don't forget to connect with Sarah after this. We're going to give you her link, we're going to give you her email, and if you're getting ready to sell your property or stage your property, make sure you reach out. Sit back, relax, and listen in. Sarah, you're very, very welcome to Platinum Studios.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So what I asked the team to do today was we got a lot of calls coming in about properties, and, with the government change of plans, there's a lot of people ringing trying to sell their property and what's the best way. And, we have a property business as well, obviously, but we would do it in a different way. And for the average person that's out there, or maybe an investor that may have had a rental property for a long, long time, and they want to try and sell the property off, I'm a true believer that they shouldn't leave any change on the table.
Absolutely.
And I think over the next half an hour or maybe 40 minutes when they listen into this podcast, they definitely won't leave change on the table. So tell me a little bit about what you do and how you got into interiors.
So, well, as you say, for most people, your home is your single biggest asset. So the selling of that home is a one-off opportunity to make as much money as you can, because obviously you need to buy another property in most cases.
Yeah.
So absolutely, it's essential to present that home optimally. And actually, that's kind of how I got into staging, because I've moved around a good bit myself. I've lived abroad and then been through a divorce here in Ireland, kind of rented, moved around. And I was always amazed by how poorly presented homes could be online. And it always struck me as, I don't want to say stupid, but
it is.
Yeah,
it really is.
Like, you're passing up an opportunity to really show your home off, drive viewer traffic, drive viewer footfall, get them in the door, generate the competitive bidding. It's about selling a lifestyle. So nobody wants to view the house that has, dirty jocks visible in the corner of the bedroom, or the unmade bed, or the bare mattress, or the kitchen with all the crap up on top of the presses or whatever, So that's kind of how I got into it. But it's a huge opportunity. And even last year, like, we'd see an uplift of between, 4, 5, right up to 20% uplift over asking price when a home is presented beautifully.
And obviously in their Platinum Venture business, which this podcast is sponsored by, we know this very, very much so. And I'll tell you how where I first seen staging really, really kick in. And about 7 or 8 years ago,
just as I started.
Yeah. You're in business. Congratulations, 7 years. You passed the pain point. But about I'd say, let's call it maybe not 8 years ago now. A friend of mine at the top of Tala bought a property, and I remember saying to him at the time, "That's a lot of money, like, you know, and family home and blah blah blah." But he wanted this thing, so I went up and looked at it with him, and I was walking around the property. Now, I'd never staged a property before that. So there's a mindset shift when you're a property investor and you see this actually unfold in front of you and you don't twig it.
And it's not such an Irish thing.
No, but I have to say, hats off to the estate agent that obviously recommended it to the seller of the property. He was the buyer, obviously, but they recommended that if they did stage it and they put a paint job into it and they had their own little crew, so it's probably similar to what you do yourself. But anyway, we went up and we looked at this thing and I said, "Oh, this is lovely." And each room I walked into, I start getting a bit more like, "Oh, look at this. You could have your telly here and maybe move the telly from there." And James Time was like, "Yeah, can you understand the way this room is laid out?" And I was like, "Wow, this is lovely." We went to the next part of the house and that room was even nicer. We headed up to the bathroom and I said, "All right, well, plumber, me being an ex-plumber, the bathroom probably could do it a while." But he was like, "Yeah, but it's livable and the mats are on the floor and the shades, everything looked good and it smelled good." And bits of room where we were walking up the stairs, that main wall was taken in with a bit of paint. That property was just really, really good. Now, the second part of that was there was a lot of stuff that I was probably going to look at in the property and I didn't, because we were all taken into the little spell of lovely smell and, you know, this is his home and that's the way you start thinking. The second part of that was that started a bit more.
Yeah.
Now, he was trying to get money out of everywhere to try and keep fueling this thing.
Yes.
Whether it was right or wrong, he wanted it and he got it. But about a month after that, he asked me could I give him a hand bringing up some furniture? And I said, "Absolutely, you can take one of our vans and we'll head up with you on Wednesday night." And I got up to the property and it was a shell. And I was like,
and it was a different feel altogether.
This thing is, was staged.
Yeah.
And it worked. And it was massive. And I think the property guided at about 305 or 310 at the start. And I think he paid 380 for it. So staging a property, you will leave zero money on the table and you will set that tone. So we stage everything.
Yeah.
Now, not as good as you. So we're hoping we'll make connections after
I would
this.
consider working with you, Paul.
Yeah. So, that was my first time seeing a property staged. And after loads of time of, chatting to people in England when they were into the flipping business.
Oh, well, it's huge in the UK.
It's huge.
Huge. Yeah.
And my point being, if there's 30 to 40,000 homes exchanged last year, or I don't know, it could be 45,000 or whatever it was, how many of them have been staged to say your standard, and how much money was left abandoned because someone didn't, probably not that they didn't know about, like they mightn't have known the word staging, or they mightn't have known Sarah Evers knocking around, or they just thought, I'm not going to go pumping money into it.
Yeah, I think a classic mistake people make is that they think a viewer or a potential buyer can visualize without help. Yeah. And that is really flawed. Only about 20% of buyers can visualize how to use a space. So particularly if you have a home, say with rooms that have a tricky layout, you need to show them how that room functions, demonstrate the functionality optimally, show them that this room actually can take a double bed, this room can take a big dining table, all those things. So you can't presume that a buyer can see through, your clutter or your, or people want to put their own stamp on a property. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Your home could be at the top of their budget. So they need that to be as turnkey as possible.
Yeah.
There isn't money in the kitty to paint or, do it up. So they're all really important things, But it is an Irish, sorry, I shouldn't be criticising my Irish demographic, which is my whole business. But I think we do err on the side that a property will sell itself, and that's just simply not true.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for us, we watch a lot of properties, and we'd have gauges on property, and we have a little algorithm that we follow. But if we see a property that's gone up and down and up and down, you naturally would think something wrong there. And your buyers aren't going to take the chance. Whereas you've got one chance to get in and get out and make the money. And if you do it correctly and you follow the formula, you should get it. So just take me back. What I always love to do with these podcasts, because I know a lot of people are listening in, and you know, I give them the honor of listening into this, and they take the knowledge, but it's really all about me. I'm only joking. But let's just say that I'm now going to engage your company, and I'm going to just run out the scenario that I own the property in Castleknock.
Yes.
And it's around 600,000. And I know in my head, I'm thinking, okay, it's an extra rental. It's not too bad. If I put it on the open market, I'm going to get it in around 6. I've had the agents in, and I'm thinking, well, hold on a minute. It's in a fantastic area. Why don't I just try out this staging thing and see? And I'm not in it. I know some people are in tremendous rush to sell their property to get the money in, but I'm not in that position. Okay. And I have an extra few bob in the bank that I might just have a look at this. And again, I have a little bit of pride that I want to give this over to the next thing, and it's a good home. What's the process with you?
Obviously, you're quite savvy. This person, this fictitious person is also quite savvy.
Yeah.
And they realize that there is the opportunity to earn more money. So if you were to contact me, so the first thing I would do, and I'm involved in every aspect of the staging. Okay. So right from the time you would meet me first, and I would visit your home, and I would do a short home staging report. Now, I'll take in everything. So right outside, from the outside in. So I'll even be looking at your fascias and your gutters and your windows and your windowsill, your garden, everything. And then I will put together a home staging report that constructively critiques your home. Just with, I think the fresh set of professional eyes makes a huge difference, because we all become a little bit blind to our own homes and our own properties. So I will suggest, now not just staging, but different little repairs or things that I'll notice, because I'm used to, not to the same extent as you are, but I'm used to going in and spotting little leaks or water damage or, or things that could become issues, like overflowing gutters, all those. So it's not only just about staging when I go into a home. So I'm looking at it from every perspective. Yeah. And then I will make in fact, sometimes I talk myself out of work, because by the time they do all the things I suggest, there's no money left for staging. But that aside, so I'll go in, and then, having noted all the repairs, the condition of the home, made all those suggestions, then obviously I propose the staging that would work best in that house. So like that, it could be making sure every room has a function, making sure that every bedroom is dressed beautifully, that the optimal size bed is used. So not too big, not too small. And then it's the accessorizing, the soft furnishings, the lighting, the art, all those things. They're the really key things to put in a home when you're trying to help people form an emotional connection.
Okay.
So, and from the curbside.
Yeah. Really important.
Everything. Because actually, I just had an article on that in the last few days, actually.
Lovely. We'll plug it in here. We'll get it linked.
But it is about, people's perception of your home from the outside. It gives a good indication of what the house is like inside too. Yeah. So that's really
you're spot
key.
On with it.
That's really key. Yeah. That they feel the house has been cared for and maintained.
Yeah. And that's what someone's investing everything. Yeah. It's all going in. And most times when you do make this move to buy it, you do want to make sure that you've got all the little problems fixed.
Of course.
And if you do get a bunch of buyers in, that it's correct. So just take me back there now a little bit. So
so that's my first visit.
Yeah. That's visit 1.
Yeah.
So you go in and then you set the proposal, and then do you come back with a plan then on like an email, or how do I physically see it?
Well, obviously I have my website, and I also have a platform I find really useful is House.
Okay.
And so you can see like 100 plus uploaded projects of mine on House, plus my website. So it gives people a very good flavour, and I stage the whole gambit. Yeah. So I stage from a 1-bedroomed property right up to perhaps a 3 million, 4 million property. So you can see examples, a whole cross section of the different projects that I do.
Yeah.
So I obviously I've priced it up. They can see examples of my projects. They can see examples of my furniture and all that kind of thing. And some people like more details. So obviously I can do that, that too, you know. It's also very important for people though, in terms of a staging quotation and a staging proposal, just to make sure you're comparing apples with apples and oranges with oranges. There's levels of staging.
Yeah.
You know, involved. So, and now increasingly staging has become more competitive. You know, so people are getting more. So that's the only thing I would say is make sure you're comparing apples with apples and oranges with oranges, you know.
So we decide then, we're me and my wife are sitting with you and we decide, well, we really like this proposal here.
Yes.
And then we say to you, well, we're going to get all them recommendations fixed. We'll get the little plumber thing. Because, I mean, anyone with a brain on their head is going to do this.
Yeah. Well, and also I do have those tradespeople as well. So I've been so fortunate. I have guys with me from day one.
Okay. So you build
you know, particularly my painting and decorating. Okay. The company that I work with, I have to mention that.
Yeah.
He's literally.
You shout their name if you feel free.
Happy days, Davy M. Decor.
Okay.
So he is literally with me since my very first job.
Well, that says a lot.
And we work so well together. He's brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
Everything is no problem.
Brilliant, yeah.
With Davy, he's fantastic, as well as being obviously an excellent painter, decorator. Yeah, he's
and I mean, that's when we're building out a business to me collectively is a bunch of people. And if you're the leader of that business, you obviously have to connect and gel. Yeah. And if they all work with you, your business is going to take off, and it clearly has. So we picked a design. We get really comfortable with it. We're looking at this property. We're looking now at fixing all the little pieces. If we don't want to do it, you're going to help do that as well. So we literally don't have to do anything. I think that's the way the world is going now.
And obviously it is down to the homeowner as to what they can cherry pick what they will and won't do. There are times when people just say, no, we're happy enough that repair isn't carried out.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll come up on the survey.
Even though, I might advise otherwise, but yeah.
So the repairs are done, everything's ready. You get to go ahead. You sign up a contract, I presume.
Yes, and payment is upfront.
Okay, yeah.
So simply because there's just too many anomalies.
Yep, absolutely.
In selling a property. Yeah. So, so to protect myself, it's payment upfront, because obviously, if let's say your home staging contract is €8,000, there's probably €40,000 worth of inventory going into that home.
Yeah.
So so I would need the payment, the 8,000 payment up front as such. It's all contracted. Yeah. And then obviously, typically, the contract should be, if it's depending on the property, it should be for at least 2 months anyway.
Yeah.
But perhaps for the 3 million, 2 million, 3 million, longer, they could be 3 months, 4 months, just simply because there's a smaller pool of buyers.
So just again, so I'm trying to gauge this, because we've put properties up for sale and they've been 3 months and they've been 6 months, and we have a team in here driving the sales over the line. So do you?
You can extend, of course.
You extend, So
So there's a contract price, and then there's a fortnightly extension fee then.
Yeah.
Which is a fraction of the original contract price. Yeah.
But I mean, that's your livelihood that's in there. That's, you have to get back out to a rental property. So we extend it for an extra couple of weeks or whatever. When do you recommend people take it out? After contracts are signed, or?
Well,
what do you recommend?
I mean, what really is ideal is if a property goes sale agreed really quickly.
Yeah.
And then it's the legal part is who am I telling? Is the slow part. So unfortunately, as you say, it can take months. I suppose you're relying on your selling agent, I guess, to some extent, to guide you as to how positive the whole contract is looking. But certainly, I would like people to be, for their own comfort, to be close enough to contract closing before they unstage.
Okay.
Because as you mentioned earlier, actually, with the property that you visited and then you went back in and it was empty.
Yeah.
Like, there is a potential risk of disappointing
and your
viewer or your buyer while they're still within the window of, getting out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, and again, that's why Platinum Ventures are in business, because properties do fall off the shelf, and we're a backbone there to try and save the day if we can. Not all the times we can't.
We are delighted to announce that this podcast is sponsored by Platinum Ventures. Platinum Ventures, we buy houses fast.
Hi Dublin homeowners, are you struggling to sell your property fast in the open market? Or maybe that deal has collapsed? Okay, if you're facing this type of a problem, we have the perfect solution for you. Welcome to Platinum Ventures. We buy houses fast. Any property, any condition. We close out them deals within 28 days. Cut out the stress of having endless viewings and having to pump money into property only to sell it. We are not estate agents, and therefore you will pay zero agent fees. Visit platinumventures.ie today. Platinum Ventures, we buy houses fast.
But again, so you would extend it a little bit more.
Yeah.
The viewings all take place.
Yeah.
When the viewings take place, people are obviously sitting on your furniture and doing all the things. Do you have rules?
Well, I can't stop anyone sitting on the furniture, but I mean, you're hoping that people will behave.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is there for display purposes only.
Yeah.
So the hope being that nobody's sleeping in your beds or jumping on your beds or, having food or drinks or whatever. And that's the hope, but I guess it's a risk.
And is most of the properties that you would be under contract in, are they solely empty?
Yes.
Are
They're
they
vacant?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if a family did come to you, obviously it can.
Well, what I do is I do a lot of consultations. So say where somebody's living in the home and it's just not practicable for them to move out.
Yeah.
Then you can, advise them what they should do.
Okay.
So, you do colour consultations if there's painting and decorating.
Which has nearly divorced me and my wife, literally.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you. Them things, Ozzy's laughing there. Them things.
Happy wife, happy life, Paul.
They've nearly caused me a marriage breakup.
But also how to rearrange furniture. Because, when you have a busy family home, chances are there's always a dumping ground somewhere. There's always, so a lot of it could be suggesting that they should nearly take some stuff out, put it into storage if they're going to reuse it. Or it's also an opportunity for a cull.
Yeah.
You're moving house anyway.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people are downsizing, so they need less furniture in their new property or whatever.
Yeah.
So it is an opportunity to kind of do a cleanse. You're going to have to move anyway.
Yeah.
The more you do earlier, the better place you'll be to move quickly.
Which is the most hardest part of any property transaction.
It's so daunting. It's so daunting. And I am working with people who are very daunted by the whole process all the time. So you can just try to be empathetic and supportive.
You're minding them along the journey as well.
Yeah, it is tough.
Yeah.
It is hard on people when they've been in the house a long time. And people are moving for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
So it gets very complicated.
Absolutely.
And then where there's a family of siblings where the parents have passed on and they're selling a property, that can be
that's the one that
difficult too.
We would deal a lot with stuff like that, and people, we've had times we would have to ring people back up and they'd say, I don't know how I missed that particular thing, or even it was small as even. I remember one girl, we rang up with a photo album for a wedding, and the guy said to me, oh, listen, this looks like it's the woman's photo album. But she passed by the house and we rang her up. She was hysterically crying, but the emotion still hadn't stopped even after the sale was done, because it's not always about the money.
Yeah.
It's about just, ending that book, which death in the family is horrendous. But you have to move on and life has to keep going. Yeah. So that takes me to my next question.
Yes.
And it's a big one.
Oh dear.
Where in the name of God do you put all this stuff? Because if 10 people are on here tonight and they decide that they're going to go with a stage, and do you hire in stuff? Do you have your...
I have it all. This supports my sickness.
Okay.
My compulsive homewares shopping disorder. Yeah.
So you literally have all this.
I have a massive volume of inventory. Yeah. That I've, kind of collected over the 7 years. Now, it kind of evolves because there's so many different house styles and genres out there.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to stage a contemporary home, you know, something that's a little bit quirky, and then obviously the more traditional homes, the period homes.
Yeah.
So you need to have inventory to cater for all of those. And I do.
And I'm just thinking when we stage, like our staging gear is when you, it's an embarrassment probably, right? Because you're telling me things here and I'm listening very clear about the bed. I literally just said last week, why do we still have this pokey little bed in this room?
Yeah,
and they're all like, oh, it's just and you know, we're obviously listening because we're uneducated in this space. We just think throwing a bed in does it. But you have to hold all this stuff, mind it.
Yeah.
It's obviously warehoused.
And obviously there's a very significant cost to that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. But my two vans, like our two big vans, when we're staging one thing, and we only semi-stage. Like we do nothing like what you do. We literally just put in. But our two vans, and even this building one time, we had our staging gear and it choked up the whole building.
Yeah.
So you have a logistics problem getting stuff to my house and to get it staged and then to get it back. Like you obviously the transport side of things is a big expense in that business.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, it's huge. It's very significant.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't even realize that when you're quoting, that such a significant part is just related to logistics, as you say.
Yeah.
You know, because a large family home, I know I drive a large commercial vehicle myself when I'm working. But I always have at least one, if not two, box trucks. And you could be there you could be delivering 1 or 2 days, you know. So it's very significant. So now, and I use 2 great companies. Will I call them out?
Absolutely, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to make sure
I work with Dublin City Storage.
Okay.
And who are obviously storage as well, and Northeast Removals, who are both removals and storage too, which is fantastic because a lot of times the home owner may have items for storage.
Yeah.
So it works well actually.
Them guys do. I remember speaking to one of the other removal companies and they do a great lead gen. So they'll put when a property goes sale agreed, they've obviously got an algorithm on their computer.
Right.
Or whatever is doing their lead in their office and they'll put a stamp together. Congratulations on selling your
Woohoo,
property.
we're available.
We're Dublin Storage and we will remove all that stuff for you. But again, one of our properties that we've just bought down in Cork, that guy had a removal truck in and it wasn't like the removal that I would have previously seen. This thing was like a machine because he had so many little sculptures and different things. It was all insured. It was not cheap. It was really expensive to do. Everything had to be labelled. Everything had to be jotted down into a book. Everything had to be computers. And then it was brought back into boxes. And then from boxes, logistically brought down the stairs. And then that was getting transferred to Spain.
Wow.
So that was a big,
yeah.
Like obviously your guys do the same thing, do they?
Well, so that was an instance of somebody was moving their whole home to Spain,
exactly,
was it?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So the guys that I work with, so I will basically have planned all the inventory.
Yeah.
So I will know exactly what's going. And often, if I have the resource, if I have labour handy at the time, we'll often pick stuff in advance.
Yeah.
So that we have a sense. Now, because I have 4 warehouses.
Jesus Christ.
I know, yeah.
You've got 4 warehouses.
4 warehouses. Now, they're all together. They're all in the same location. So literally there will be...
That's a massive expense.
There will be picking lists as to which warehouse has, you know, what items are to come out of each one. So obviously we do have to be very careful to make sure everything's being packed properly. And there is nothing worse, particularly if you're in a location that's not convenient to the warehouses, to discover that you're missing parts of a bed.
So you've got
or you're missing some part off a table, or so you do have to be really, really careful in terms of planning and picking the inventory.
It's tough cookie to pull off.
Yeah, because the removals guys do all the assembly as well, which is key. And also then we have all the art and mirrors are all professionally mounted as well. So it's just managing your resource and making sure that you're making the most of the crew on the day.
Yeah, and I imagine
or the 2 days, whatever.
Your mirrors probably aren't the cheapest. Now, are you going up and down the stairs with beds and furniture? Are you
no,
Okay,
But
brilliant, because I thought you were there for a minute.
I do go up and down the stairs endlessly with crates of accessories and tubs of bedding and towels. And
Putting your fine-tuning.
You wouldn't even believe the volume of bedding you need for a house.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's mad. You know, your duvet, and then obviously loads of pillows, loads of scatter cushions, way more than you'd ever live with in your own home, and all that sort of stuff. So it adds up hugely.
Yeah. It's a massive logistical problem getting stuff in and then obviously out. So again, it's staged now.
Yes.
It's up running. We have
You're inundated with viewers who love the property.
Absolutely.
The emotional connection is fantastic.
Yeah, and you
tripping over each other.
You obviously said that Platinum podcast where I've seen Sarah Evers on. It was after making me, I've got Mary down the road only had 5 viewing. I've got 45 people. Something's correct.
That's right.
Because it is literally the way the world has gone. Is if they see something, they'll act. They'll get in their car probably that night and just go and actually see is that correct? Because there's a lot of staging going on online, and I'm not too fond of it.
Okay,
I don't think, you can see that they drop a bed in. We know you get to the property, that's great. Now you've got an upset buyer. They come, there's nothing in the property. Yeah, it looks fantastic.
Oh, do you mean the virtual staging?
Virtual.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it probably shouldn't do it.
It's a fraction of the price of home staging.
Yeah,
but currently, look, it depends. I suppose if you don't have the budget to fully stage your home, you could potentially stage really key rooms and then maybe virtually stage. But the problem with virtual staging is the room is effectively empty.
Yeah.
And also dimensionally, it can be a little bit deceptive, I think.
Yeah. And it would naturally annoy me if me and my wife were watching something and we seen this beautiful house in Castleknock and then we got there and it wasn't so beautiful.
Yeah.
And them little things weren't fixed. You can naturally see the way your brain would go is, okay, well, let's go and have a look at that other one.
Yeah.
That's not what we want as investors. We want, we want to be, they come and they fall in love with it and they're at the gate that night and they're going to do whatever it takes to get the deal over the line.
Yeah.
That's really what we want because it's our business.
Yeah.
Folks, your network is your net worth. I've proved that several times already. So it's a good quote from Dan Penny, you show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's a fact. Sometimes in life you have to let go of the good things and focus on the things that are going to make you money and make you successful. If you're looking to connect with high net worth individuals, join our community today with a chat system in there to help you grow and scale your business and your property portfolio. I hope to see you on the other side.
Well, I have staged properties where the adjacent property is also for sale.
Okay, yeah.
And that's not staged.
Yeah.
So, I would have numerous case studies whereby you can see that the stage one sold so quickly and for so much more money than the unstaged equivalent,
That does drive me mad. When I pull up to like if we're going to sell our house and we've been checking in the area, and this is why I always recommend you do have the best product going, because if another for sale sign pops up in around you at the same time,
yours needs a differentiator.
You need to have the best, and you need to pull out all of the stops and really, really go for it.
But do you find by presenting something as a premium product, it commands a premium price? Do you think people are less likely to negotiate?
If done correctly and we've engaged with the right, so we're very, very careful who we use.
Yeah.
So if we've engaged with the right estate agents, we've briefed them the way we want our business. Yeah. Like they're fantastic at what they do.
Yeah.
But they have to know if we're giving them a property that we are a pain in the arse of a company because we're under so much stress with finance, and that when we put a call in, we want it answered and we want it done, and we logistically probably are well tuned into the property space, whether they are or not.
Yes,
we are. We know it inside out. We live and breathe the stuff. So we need our point listened to as well. And we do great business. I have to say, once everyone puts their cards out on the table at the start, there's never really a problem.
Yeah.
But you're 100% correct. So we will not leave anything out of place in the property. I still feel after seeing what you do now and what we do, we probably are leaving money on the table, and there's no reason to do that because somebody will pay you more for a better product. So if we've got our property here and we've got our property beside it, and there's not much done to this one, we're going to have the queue. Yeah. They're really going to have the drop off of what we have, and we want to have the queue. So 100%, if we take that property from, really, really low energy rating and we bring it back up in around the B's and we do all the interiors and we really go to work with the fine detail, we're getting top money.
Yeah.
And that's what our business
And it's
is.
funny because psychologically people will not negotiate you downwards when it's a premium product.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
Because you've got 4 or 5 more ready to
Yeah.
They're really in a race to the top. And again, like my friend, he wanted it. He was in the perfect location. It was staged perfectly. It gave him the illusion that he can do his thing with it now. And this is what it can look like. And believe me, if we would have went into it, I would have been telling him how to negotiate. I would have told him the steps of negotiation. But I didn't, because I felt that, he's right. Everything that he's talking about, it's what he wants. Pay for the thing. And I've bought stupid shit that I wanted at the time. And I thought, I'm not going to even negotiate. I just want it. And someone else is going to buy it because it's good. So we bought it. So that's exactly what we do. Now, when all that happens,
yes, Paul,
and the property has now gone sale agreed, and the owners are onto you and they're probably saying, okay, we are sale agreed, which again, in a property investor's eyes, in my eyes especially, when one of our properties goes sale agreed, to me, it means zero.
Yeah.
Like we've just reached a point. Yeah. But it's really, really, especially because we sell a lot to like first-time buyers, and, unless someone's coming in with a big, big lump of cash, we pay attention very quickly to. But most of the times, that's where it's dangerous, because we've got a good buyer in, they've reached their level, all the levels have sort of stopped, the agent has done his work, and now we're relying on this guy to follow through.
Yeah.
And we've gone sale agreed. But really, does it mean anything? Probably not.
Unfortunately, the deposit seems to really mean nothing.
Yeah.
I think it would be great if a deposit really was non-refundable, and then it would give the homeowner such security.
Yeah.
People would be so much less likely to pull out of a sale if they were going to lose their deposit.
Yeah. And look, I've chatted to many, many buyers because they've come in here doing property training, and they say, look, we're buying a property, but we've put 4 deposits down. I'd say, well, why did you do that?
Yeah, that's
really a stupid thing to do. And
that's not a nice way of.
And they say, well, we can get them all back. And I said, well, that's not the way. Yeah. That's a really stupid thing to do. Yeah. And you're going to really piss people off, because I've been in that side. So we watch that like a hawk, and we try and zone in on it. But
we are delighted to announce that this podcast is sponsored by Platinum Property Training.
Start your property education today. From simply one click of a button, you could be part of the Platinum team. We have made this so affordable for everybody in the country. If you have any interest in property, there's no reason why you shouldn't be part of the Platinum brand. We have got it all systemized. It is right in there with rookies. You can spend 4, 5, 6 or 7 months in there till you get to a certain level, and then you can step up your way through the programs, and you can really start to educate yourself. And we're here to help. We've got the best systems in the country. Click the link below, and we will see you there. Once contracts are signed, it's a different kettle of fish. The job is done.
Yeah,
that would be really where I'm picking up the phone and saying to you, okay, we're happy now to pull the curtains in and unstage. And maybe what logistically happens with that point, if we just take that 3 or 4 bed house in Castleknock, and we've gone for all the bells and whistles, and it probably would take 2 days or 3 days, would it?
So, well, no. So what would happen is Jill, who works with me, she and I are the kind of the stylists and the stagers as such on the ground.
Yeah.
And we would go in and we would do the initial things like stripping the beds, taking down all the art, boxing up all the accessories, all that kind of thing. So we would do that initially, and then the removals guys would come in after us. Now, we're still in attendance, or perhaps it's a separate day, depending on the size of the property.
Okay.
So with my van, which is a decent size, but that could be full with all the soft furnishings and art and accessories. So then I would come back then the following day with my van, and then at least whatever 1 or 2 box trucks, depending.
Yeah.
Well, for a 3 or 4 bedroomed home, probably me with the 2 runs plus a box truck. So it would be an absolute maximum of 2 days. And it's much faster to unstage.
Yeah.
Much faster.
The job's done.
Much faster.
And then it all goes back to your storage, gets put away again, and hopefully gets out to another home again. So after that point, then your job is done.
Yes.
We hopefully have made, well, look, a blind donkey would know you're making the right decision because I've been at the end of both of them checks. I've been at the end of a check that we took our eye off. We just said, throw it up. We're busy. Stupid decision because it's so hard to get a property.
And it's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money that you're missing out on.
Yeah. And then we've also been at the end of checks that have done fairly well because we've put the time in. So take me back then to probably a little small bit about finances on this type of a transaction. If someone is looking in tonight and it is the Castleknock property and it's in around, let's call it 500,000 for easy numbers.
Okay.
How do they sort of, because it always boils down to money, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, of course. But then it also, for me, it's hard because a lot of properties are very individual, you know.
Yeah.
So if it's a 4-bedroomed property, so if you're looking at 4 bedrooms that you need fully furnished, so even if you take 1 bedroom and the volume that goes into 1 bedroom, if you're doing it properly, then you're going to probably have an eat-in kitchen.
Yeah.
You're going to have, it could potentially be an eat-in kitchen with a living space as well. Then you're going to have at least 1 reception room, hall, landings, all that sort of stuff, potentially garden furniture out the back, all that sort of stuff. So for a house like that, in or around the 500,000 mark, you should be looking at your staging costing, I'm not sure if I've said this already, have I?
No.
Between 1% and 4%.
Okay, yeah.
Now, 4% would be a lot if it was just staging.
Yeah.
But 4%, it has to be a commercial decision and it has to be worth doing.
Yeah.
So 4% should include any little repairs, any decorative things you need to do as well.
Yeah.
For it to be worth investing in.
Yeah.
But you should earn between 4 and 20% over asking by doing all those changes and by staging.
Yeah.
So I suppose in the case of if you were looking at that 4-bed in Castleknock, 1% being the lowest, 5,000 plus VAT would be a little bit on the low side for staging.
Yeah.
You'd probably be looking more at 6 or 7. It would depend.
We clearly
VAT.
know that, the staging stuff isn't going to be dropped in by a drone. You have got probably 2 or 3,000 of men's wages to pay and women's wages and logistically to get it all there.
But it is obviously the size of the house is multiples of inventory. So obviously a 1-bedroom department is going to be a fraction of that, so it is down to the volume of inventory.
So no matter what the property is, just pick up the phone, drop you an email.
Absolutely. And I can price. Now, if I physically go to the property, then I do charge a consultation fee because then I'm doing your report and all that sort of stuff as well. And that's a nominal, like a consultation fee of €200 plus VAT. So it's very good value really, because there'd be a few hours now would go into that. But outside of that, I can also price from videos or floor plans or,
Okay.
So it can be quite quick to actually get a provisional price.
Well, I think for anybody that is listening in, and I'm saying it from my side of the coin, I know it works. I know no matter how much, if we're at the getting the property at a discount, blah, 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 all the stuff we do, if we engage your services, I know 100% it works.
Yeah.
Because I buy and sell property and I know every moving part of it. But I think for someone that might even be looking in going, well, you'd be crazy not to take my advice on this and even get a consultation.
Absolutely.
Just to see.
But it's back to that fresh set of professional eyes.
100%.
And so many things as well are subconscious.
Yeah.
And there's so many important opportunities you have. Like that first arriving at a property for a viewer, that is so key.
Crucial.
That assessing the outside, that opening the front door, they instantly I did another article on that actually a couple of weeks ago.
You send them to me and we'll put the links in.
Oh, great.
Yeah, the better we can show it to people.
So that opportunity you have apparently they say that viewers make a snap decision. So within, I think it's 15 seconds of walking into a property, they have decided about the vibe of the house.
Absolutely.
Now, subconsciously, they're assessing things like the smells.
Yeah.
And the palette and the openness and the cleanliness and all that. And then they're deciding already how they feel about it. And then they're progressing through the house. So you obviously have to keep up that level.
Yeah.
If they've walked in and been delighted by what they can see in the hall and the landing and whatever, you need to continue that through the house.
Through the house, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant. And I love, the really thing I love about you and the brand you have is you will cater for a small 250 or 300,000.
Absolutely.
There's no real, well, we won't do it. You know, like some...
I wouldn't get out of bed for that.
Yeah. But you will also head up to the big numbers too, and you will cater that. And you don't have 4 warehouses full for the goodness of your health, or we'll have to take you off in the hospital and get you checked.
Yeah.
But
arguably.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, what we'll do is, do you mind if I shoot your website for a quick second?
No,
I'm going to shoot it over your head. So, guys and girls, if you're listening on Spotify or any or Apple Boy or Tickly Talk or whatever you're listening to, jump over now onto YouTube. And what we're going to try and do is run a little bit of your design. And I have to say, Sarah, your website is flawless. Like, it's really, really good. Can you see me there?
Thank you. Yes, I can.
Okay, lovely stuff. So again, this is all of your stuff made out naturally in my head. If I walked into that room, I'd want to get into bed and relax.
But that's the idea, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the idea. Kick off your shoes.
Yeah, and you've got a couple of...
now that's a period home there. Yeah, that's a period home in Donnybrook.
That's Donnybrook, is it?
Yeah.
Lovely. So we'll run through it again. If you're watching us on YouTube, go over to our website tonight and play around with it and have a look. Just talk me through. Maybe I'm going to go for this one because I just think this is gorgeous. Belgrave Square. Of course, I've gone for the dearest one.
You like a period home?
I do. I absolutely do. They're very, very challenging, but I do actually love them. Okay, I'm going to click into this. Look at that. So. Yeah. This is all your stuff. It does
help that it's such a beautiful house.
Yeah, it is. How much roughly is this? Of course, me.
On the market.
I picked the dearest one, probably going.
That was on the market at 2.4.
Okay, sold.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course. And how long did you appear there for a few months?
It ended up being a 4-month home staging contract. Yeah.
I would think I would naturally think that's very well.
And there was huge interest in it.
Yeah.
And multiple bidders.
Really?
So,
at that level?
Yeah. It's, I know. And they were all about 12.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. All in the tech space. All AI.
Well, to me, everyone looks 12. But they did seem to be quite a young demographic. Yeah.
Okay, so now. Okay, so how do I do this? I told you I wasn't great with computers. Look at this stage. And so how does your mat just happen to fit in there? Is that because you have so many of them?
Well, yes.
This is unbelievable. So just talk me through this. Is any of this stuff in this house the owner's, or is it all yours?
So are you looking at the library in particular?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that library, you picked a bad one from my perspective because
you tell me what's a good one in your house.
Those bookshelves were built in.
Oh, okay.
But everything else is mine. So all the accessories that are on the bookshelves, the desk, the rugs, the art. Also, the other side, if you see, diagonally, do you see the leather sofa? To the diagonal of it's also, you see the same bookshelves.
Oh, here.
And yes.
Yeah.
So that's another, so the sofas, the side tables, the floor lamps, the plants, whatever, they're all mine. But it just so happens that the bookshelves were existing.
Okay, so there's probably, if we just take that room again, you probably have, I'm just taking a quick glance, there's probably like 4,000 or 5,000. Now you probably could kick me in the head for this, but would there be 5,000 worth of material there?
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. And then...
Now when I do stage, I really do fully stage. Do you know, like the level of accessories, the level of, which of course can be pared back if,
to budgets.
To budget,
yeah.
exactly.
Well, I just went for probably the dearest one. I won't ask how much this one. And look, as I said to you, sometimes, the in the property space as well, but you've clearly said it, there was a lot of people bidding away, and this one, the interest was there.
Yeah.
But it would naturally go. Like, I've seen some of these houses that are really run down. This looks really well.
That particular property is an absolutely beautiful property.
And would the curtains would have been here, would they?
The curtains were there.
So
actually, curtains aren't something that I really do in staging.
Okay.
For a number of reasons. Curtains are very bespoke.
Yeah.
To individual windows. So, and particularly if you look at the height of those windows and the drop on them, and to put up curtains that would be premium enough to be in those windows would be a huge cost to the homeowner. Now, as it happens, they're pre-existing curtains.
Okay.
They were there. But also, in general, I do favour a clean white roller blind.
Okay.
So I will quite often suggest to homeowners that they should swap out their blinds.
Yeah.
Because blinds get tired and damaged.
And again, it's
they're a reasonably cheap fix.
Okay.
For the impact they have,
Now, if we just head into this room here, I'll probably just click on this one as an example.
Which one oh, yes.
You see that?
Yeah,
me?
I can see it.
So, have you picked the colours then in here? You've gone into this room as a blank canvas, decided with a bed, decided with colours, and then painted?
Yeah, now that house actually, it was already being painted. It was in the process of being painted when I viewed it first.
Okay.
So a lot of those works were actually underway when I viewed that property.
Brilliant.
But yes, I've chosen all the pieces. Yeah.
So you did
absolutely.
Choose them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely smashing. Now I know you. There's a couple of other ones here as well, but I think people probably need to jump over to your website, play around with it.
Yeah. And this also the house platform is really useful as well. So you can find Sarah Evers Interiors on House as well.
On House.
And there's about 100 or so projects uploaded
We'll throw a
plus
link
reviews and things like that, which are gold dust.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We'll throw a link up to this. Just talk to me about this property then.
So that's a 2 up, 2 down in Stony Batter. Okay.
And then just give us a quick rundown of it. It was put up on the open market.
Yeah.
It was probably guided at a certain level.
Yeah.
How did it do? How did the property do after the stage?
Now, if I'd known you were going to ask me, that one sold. I want to say, and the lady who I was working for is part of your group, I believe.
Right.
I believe that sold for like 110 over asking.
So it worked.
Yeah.
So it was a good decision.
And that is huge uplift.
Yeah.
For a relatively small
but again,
property.
The amount of stuff you have in this property is
the volume of infinite, and it's. I think it's all the details. If you look at that hall area, which is a really small, it's diagonal there underneath. Go over to the left.
Here?
There.
Yeah.
So say even that's just a very small hall area, but you kind of throw in your little lifestyle things like the riding cap because you're near Phoenix Park. Obviously, you're going to be gavoting around the place all the time, and it's just the little things I think that.
You have to pull it all
that
back
resound with people
and
give them a kind of aspirational lifestyle.
It really works. So we're going to throw up a link as well to House where they can find a couple of reviews and a couple of different things.
Yeah.
And really what I want people to take out tonight is 2 things. Number 1.
Sarah Evers Interior.
Sarah Evers Interior, definitely number 1. And I'm sure she'll look after you with a little code or a discount there.
Of course.
From my point of view, and I'm in this space a long time now, you're crazy not to even at least have an idea of a consultation and then take it from the next level. But from what I can tell you is it definitely goes through the roof. Where else on the website is good? If they want to get you, they can just jump in here. Obviously, all your
contact us.
Your contact details are all there.
Yeah.
This property, I could watch this all night now. That's
a new property in Rathmines. It's part of a development of 3, and that's the first one, and it's an upside down house. Okay. So that's the living spaces upstairs, and you can just see out the back there. There's the garden furniture and the fire pit, and there's no actual garden, but there's those nice outdoor spaces.
To it.
And that sold really well. And then so that's sold very quickly. And then its sister, so there's three of them, is a bigger footprint.
Yeah.
And that sold, that was unstaged after 3 months.
And do you ever get, has anyone ever said to you, they want to leave the furniture in? How much is it? Or
sure.
Is there ever
well, if I'm doing a show house, it depends on what model the developer wants.
Okay.
So obviously they can rent the inventory for a period of time, or they can buy it and sell the home for an extra premium, or whatever.
They just put the cost back on.
Which in a way makes sense.
This is one of the properties that we're going to be talking about when I'm teaching you about flipping properties. It is really, really crucially important you get it together. If you do get it together, you can earn the big money. My goal is to teach you how to bring these derelict assets back to life, that you can either rent them out or cash them in for big lump sums of cash. So feel free to join us in Platinum Property Training, where we talk about flip projects and loads of different strategies every single week, so you can become a property investor here in Ireland.
If you're going to rent for a show home, a show house, or a show apartment, realistically, you're going to need that stage for quite a while if it's going to be the demo, if you like, for the other properties.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense probably to buy.
So this is the reason why I'm leading to this question, because we're doing a development at the moment and it's in sort of untested area, and our model is now heading into the over 55. So what we want to do is, and we just had a business meeting on it the other day, is we want to we're developing 12 luxury apartments. So what we want to do is take one apartment now and finish it.
Yeah.
And no developer will do that as such. But we just want to test it because we're always protecting the downside. If a downside always comes.
Yeah.
With your experience, because you're heavily trained in this, do you think that's a good idea for us to do or a bad idea?
Well, a lot of properties are sold from plans.
Yeah.
So by selling it based on a show property, then you're really allowing the buyer to visualize what the apartment's going to look like, how to use the space, and how to make the most of the space.
Yeah.
So obviously I would think it's a good idea.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's the end.
I always think staging is a good idea.
I'll talk to the wise man, as he said, Mr. Ed, and I'll get him to connect with you, because we're this is what we're going to do, and we want to have, and I'm not going to be able to create a feel for an over 55s because, I'm still very young. I'm only 40.
And I'm 56.
So you're in the right
there
space.
There you go. I'm over 55.
And you have massive experience in it. Sarah, it's been an honor to have you in. Thanks a million for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You've done a really, really fantastic thing tonight as well. What I always love to do about these podcasts is to let people understand the business, because people are very quick to jump and go, oh, it's 5,000 or it's 10,000. You don't understand.
Yeah.
It's very easy. When you have got a good level of understanding of something, it's very, very easy to make a good decision quick.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it. And I think by you letting us in behind the scenes of what you do and all the problems that you have to try and get fixed on a daily basis, it gives people an understanding to say, okay, to get this 100,000 lift, which you will, chances are you're going to get, there's a level of work that has to go in, and there's a fee that goes behind it. But is it worth it? Absolutely. Is there anywhere else that some people can grab you, or where do you spend a lot of your time? And sorry, another thing, are you nationwide?
Well, not quite maybe all over Ireland.
Okay.
But certainly Dublin, Louth, Meath, Kildare, Wicklow,
So you're nationwide.
Well, yes.
You'll take a call. You'll take a call, and if it's worth it.
Of course. And also, now with FaceTime and Skype and Zoom and everything, I can consult and look at properties and certainly advise on them or price them, or refer you to another staging colleague in another part of the country.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And a lot of estate agents listen into this, and I think, again, for you building out your own practice, your own brand, remember when everyone's just putting a property up for sale and selling it, you are leaving. You need to add on little tag-ons to every business to be a bit more unique, to give a bit more of a kick to the business. And it mightn't be that every property wants to get staged, but if we can change that, if 1 in 10 properties are going out with just a small bit of recommendations that, you know, if your buyer is in that caliber and can wait a little bit longer and is willing to do it a few repairs and is willing to stage it, that they, you know, an estate agent needs to know that this is going to put an awful lot more money in the bank and they're going to get more money.
And did we mention capital gains tax?
No. So just give me a quick run.
So where a homeowner has a liability for capital gains, home staging is tax deductible.
So you can write it down in it.
Yes. So,
perfect.
You know, as well as all the costs of sale that are incurred because of selling the home and to optimize the home's presentation are tax deductible.
So, and so you're going to increase the 33% up a little bit more and take a little bit.
So it's a no-brainer. I mean, you're still paying it to a stager, ideally me, versus the revenue. But, you know, it helps. Yeah.
No, look, we've seen stuff staged and we've seen stuff unstaged and there is no comparison. So on that note, have you any last final thoughts? I know tonight you said to me, I know there's not too much I can talk to you about tonight. And we're an hour and
are we
10 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes gone in.
Oh my God.
And again,
you're such a good interviewer.
You liked it, yeah. Any last final thoughts?
Well, thank you very much for having me. And I look forward, hopefully, to some of your group reaching out to me or anyone who might be listening to the podcast.
Absolutely.
I generally will always take calls. And if I can't, I'll call you back and have a chat or whatever.
Lovely stuff.
So, yeah. Home, what's it? Staged home sell faster is my strap line. Yeah.
Yeah. and you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, all the usual. You're on all brilliant stuff. Yeah. Well, Sarah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I know my wife is going to watch this very, very closely because it is a problem that we have, whether it's a blue sofa or a black sofa, and there's always trouble.
Never black sofa.
Yeah,
never a black sofa.
There you have.
Never a black leather sofa. No.
It's probably something we always throw in. But anyway, we'll definitely build it out. Again, for those of you listening in, I hope this tonight's give you behind the scenes of what a stager has to go through and the logistics, most importantly, because I did not see...
It's not just faffing around with cushions.
Yeah, that's a serious amount of... You're not just running down to Dunnes Stores and picking up a few pillows.
Although I do go to TK Maxx a lot.
Good stuff. Well, on that note, I really enjoyed it. Now, folks, there is a price to this. To help with the algorithms, jump on over to YouTube, subscribe, download, and do all the little things that we're going to show you how to do just to help with our algorithms. And for myself and Sarah, we'll see you next time. Chat soon.